Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm Olena Chayko. I'm professor from ISMA, Riga, in Latvia. And today I want with you discussing about very important theme, strategies of effective communication in educational process. As you know, all educational instructions aspire to achieve distinctive education goals that have a significant impact on the next generation and society. You will find them always on the lookout for new ways to develop communication in teaching and learning process between the sender, who holds the role of the professor or the teacher, or maybe mentor, and the receiver, who represents the student in our case. In order to reach the desired success, it's important for the person responsible for developing the educational movement to find a relationship between educational technologies and educational communication, and knowledge of all the foundations, elements, and theories related to educational communication. And in this discussion, we clarify all the previous points and to know the importance of communication in teaching and learning process, and the skills that enable the teacher to communicate well with his or her students. We speak everything related to the educational communication process, its obstacles, and how to avoid them, and promote your educational institution the best way. The word communication in general indicates the presence of two or more parties between which communication occurs for a specific reason, and in the presence of the main communication factors, so that the communication process takes place correctly. As for term educational communication, it's also a communication that occurs between two or more parties to exchange information and send and receive different data to achieve a specific and clear goal, where the source of the information is the teacher or the professor. The student receives that information. In order for this communication to take place correctly, a response must occur between two parties. And this is a prerequisite for it to be correct, for us to say that educational communication has taken place. Effective communication skills are fundamental to success in numerous aspects of life. Classroom ambience depends heavily on the quality of communication taking place in it. Modern education concepts relies much prominence on preparing a student for being the finest professional in a specific platform. Effective communication is an essential part of a professional life, no matter in what field you are. It can be energy platform, energy, or it can be different platforms. Effective communication is an essential part of our professional life. Yeah, students with effective communication skills will be more probably to contribute to class discussions, will ultimately achieve more from their experience in class, and will be more productive members in group projects. There may be questions arise in your mind that how to improve effective communication skills in students. So here we highlight some ways. The answer comes in different ways: thinking, problem solving, physical expression, understanding the application. This is all, and plus other responses that demonstrate that the student has received specific information and has shown an appreciated response. Exist the statements that true and valuable communication is what occurs when skills, knowledge, feelings, and ideas are transmitted and arrive fully clear from the sender. It can be teacher or the professor to receiver. For our case, this is student. Then the communication in teaching and learning process will be successful, effective among all parties. In order for the process of communication in education to take place required, it's necessary to have specific foundations, including the conditions and elements of successful education communication. Let's get to know them now. Terms of conditional contact, the goal of this communication should be clear and specifically defined. Having a reaction and a response from the receiver. Instilling desire and motives for educational contact between all parties. Professional communication skills with students, and one more part, elements of education communications. And for example, as was mentioned by Google company, these elements can be sender, receiver, the tool or means used to carry out the communication process, the content for which the communication was created, the feedback, and the environment in which the communication takes place. Communication skills are the abilities you use to give and receive different kinds of information. These skills are essential when working with others, managing people, and overseeing projects. Examples include volume, clarity, empathy, respect, and understanding of nonverbal cues. You use these skills to communicate ideas, feelings, tasks, and events. The type and the method of communication differ according to the sender and the receiver, and the methods and tools of communication between them. So there are three types of educational communications, and there can be more. From this presentation, you can see here 4 types, yes, of educational communication. First type can be verbal communication. In this type, information is transmitted and received by voice and language, and the use of voice tones is taken into account that match the message that the teacher directs to his students and the topic they are talking about. Next type, this can be nonverbal communication. Communication between the teacher or the professor and the student take place using different gestures and body language from looks and movements. Next can be written communications. Here the teacher or the professor writes information on the board or the electronic board, for example, and asks his students to transfer and write what has been explained to ensure that the information is clear and present with everyone. Communication strategies can differ by the philosophy. It's based on demographic or permissive. The most effective professor-student communication strategy is the demographic and has got humanistic psychology approach. According to this, we are equal partners and both need respect as a unique individual whose thoughts, time, and values are worth attention. The communication strategy may vary by the chosen language style, formal or informal, the emotional level it can handle, the aim of each communication session, the time we have for a process. For example, a short conversation on the phone can be informing, supporting, provide active listening, and the aim can be a short talk, but focusing on the whole process. Or just an in time quick help to keep functioning the other until we will have more time to have another fully active planned communication process. Roles the communicator may take. The coach, best if the other person generally has good problem solving capacity, but at the moment there are roadblocks in her, him. Next can be mentor. If the partner needs information and advice continuously, a hint of information and friendly support. The informer, the aim is to serve with appreciate and up-to-date information. And effective communication tools can be strategies for effective listening, focus on the person, give you full attention to the speaker, look for and pay attention for nonverbal messages, notice body language, listen for the essence, grasp the essence of the speaker's thought, core ideas or messages, be empathic, imagine how you would feel like in similar circumstances, ask questions to clarify your understanding. Next to these strategies for accurate perception, analyzing, checking your own perception. Is it correct? Work on improving your own perception. Seek honest, constructive feedback for increasing your self-awareness. Focus on other, develop your ability to focus on other people. One more effective communication tool can be strategies for effective verbal communication. This is focus on the issue, not the person. Try not to take everything personally. Use empathy. Be genuine rather than manipulative. Keep your integrity and be yourself honestly and openly. Use I message. Be flexible and open toward others' point of view. Value yourself and your own experiences. Present yourself as an equal partner rather than a superior. Use affirming responses, respond in ways to present you and acknowledge others' experiences. They write for their thoughts and their feelings. You can learn and practice communication skills. Students benefit from methods that give them hands-on practice, clear directions, and the opportunity to reflect. And I say some of the best ways to teach these skills with several examples. Role-playing is a classic method for teaching communication skills. To use this technique, students act out skills after discussing them. For example, appreciate posture or body language. Role-playing should always focus on full group participation and mutual respect. Be sure to talk to students about how to be respectful audience members and allow plenty of time for daily role-playing to help students get comfortable. Students will need to have patience and open-mindedness as well as positive rapport with each other. If you foster these skills first, role-playing can be a great way to learn communication abilities quickly. Exist different types of role plays. Whenever you teach a new skill, use role playing to check that the students fully understand the information. Act out a skill for students. Then have them guess which skill you mentioned or the model. Use specific scenarios students experience on a day-to-day basis in an office setting. Have the students discuss what went well and what went wrong after each role play. Ask them what they would have done differently to improve the situation. I can tell you one case, one example. In a role-playing scenario, two students act out examples of both excellent and ineffective communication during a mosque project disagreement. Afterward, the group takes 2 minutes to write down the effects of each communication style and share them with the group. Write various communication skills on strips of paper. Have students choose at random and then act out the skills. The rest of the group can guess. Whose clear examples such as eye contact, body language, active listening, and confidence. Next, you can use group games an interactive, engaging way to teach verbal and non-verbal communication, collaboration, and relationship building skills. Through group games, students learn to efficiently pass the information on to others. And during games, you should watch closely, make notes, and be prepared to share your observations with students so they can improve over time. For example, working towards a specific goal as a group requires communication. Ask the team to build, design, or create something over a set period. Provide the group with any necessary materials and observe their interactions as they work. Afterward, ask the group what went well and what they could have done differently. Share your observations with positive feedback to each individual on what they did well. Play the emotional roller coaster game. Divide the group into two teams. Each team gets a set of cards with the emotion written on it, such as angry and other things. As students of the first team act out an emotional, while their teammates guess what it is. Then the other team tries, set a time limit for guesses, and the team who guesses the most by the end is winner. This is example. This game will help students become more aware of the exceptions and body language signals they use to express emotions. It will also spark conversations about nonverbal signals. Be sure to leave time for post-game discussion. Lead a team member through an obstacle course. Divide the group into teams of two and put a blindfold on the member of each team. Then have them stand at the start of the course. The second member guides their partner through the course using only verbal directions. This is very simple game, yeah, and they let both the blind folder and non-blind folder members share their experiences. Then ask them to swap roles and try to course again. The next skills, carefully completed collection on film. And this is very great teaching tool. You can pause, discuss, and reply clips. Yeah, video clips also make for great take homework. Students can watch as many times as they like, write responses, and share during the next class. You can look for examples of characters who learn how to handle crisis using clear constant communication, non-verbal communication skills, how characters process and communicate complex emotions, ways to use multiple communication skills to solve problems, examples of situations that went wrong as a result of poor communication. The next introspection. Learning about interpersonal and communication skills often necessitates time for reflection and introspection. When students are learning about communication, especially those related to social and emotional health, provide ample time for structured self-analysis. Give students prompts to guide them and they contemplate. For example, ask them to think about communication methods that have worked well for them during difficult situations in the past. Here are several additional introspection exercises you might consider. This can be drawing, photography, lists, colleagues, and etc. Turn talking. One of the most basic and helpful communication skills students can learn is turn talking. During a turn talking lesson, students will learn the difference between interrupting and interjecting. This is critical skills people need to learn for negotiation, conflict resolution, and idea sharing. Students should also learn how to overlap in conversation cooperatively rather than competitively. Talking methods include use a talking stick or other talking object in your classroom. This sets talking as a standard of the very first day of class. Introduce pause fillers. Make a poster with helpful pause fillers like let me see, let me think, and what I mean is to help keep the conversation going. Suggest opinion phrases. These can help students invite others to speak. A poster of opinion phrases might include, what do you think? And do you like that idea? The next, asking questions. Productive conversations are created by asking and answering questions. Asking open-ended questions can help move a project forward, solve complex problems, and delegate tasks. However, learning how to ask those questions is a skill. Take time to teach students about open-ended questions and be sure to provide plenty of examples. You might devote an entry class unit to a lesson on questions using role play activities to help guide the discussion. You can start by conversing with one student in front of the class. Have students keep track of how many words their peer uses in response to your questions. Alternative closed and open questions. Your first question might be, did you like the movie? Follow that up with a question like, what did you like best about the movie? Ask alternating questions for a few minutes. Then get together with the class to discuss their findings. Have them determine which questions prompted longer, more interesting answers, and which inspired discussion. Then have students practice asking open-ended questions in pairs of groups. The next, record and reflect. Watching yourself is an effective way to learn communication skills. You know, if you have the time and resources, ask students to record themselves having a conversation with someone else or in front of a mirror. Then they should watch the recording and observe their verbal and non-verbal communication. Finally, they should take time to reflect on what they did well and what they can focus on improving. Here are several additional examples of recording and reflect method. First, record a two-person conversation. Have the participant watch the recording while writing down their responses or sharing their observation out loud. Next, have students record a short speech by themselves. Record their speech in front of an entry classroom audience. Compare the two videos. Next, record a video at the beginning of class and another at the end. It can be useful to watch the improvement between the two videos. And the next, assign video watching and reflection as a take-home assignment. This is a helpful alternative to students watching their videos with their peers, and they may offer the chance for a more in-depth response. Of course, a lot of students nowadays using TikToks and other possibilities to write their videos, but for training it can be good too for the students, for their communication. The importance of communication in the educational process appears to the teacher and the student, and to the proper functioning of the educational process. This importance is represented in it works to improve and develop the quality of education, the development of educational and educational institutions, and the improvement of learning outcomes. The development of the learner's skills in terms of communication, dealing with others, dialogue and discussion. It helps in developing the personality of the learner, building the skill of decision making, assuming responsibility, finding solutions by sharing discussion ideas, and accepting others. Strong and effective exchange of information and knowledge. Transfer and exchange of cultures and languages, and learn about different social customs and traditions. Educational communication facilitates educational service and effective implementation of established policies, and provides more information and data for making decisions or in the interest of the educational institution. Educational communication gives civilians the right to express their opinion and exchange discussions related to education issues, and reform the educational system further. How to realize effective communication between teachers and students? There are different skills and approaches that make communication in teaching and learning process more valuable, such as the teachers focus on the tools used to communicate information, innovate in term, and resort to modern technologies. Clarify on this message and goal of the curriculum, and focus on it and its impact on students. Taking into account the differences between students in terms of behavior, culture, and social life. Finding distinctive tools and methods to attract students' attention and arouse their interest. Choosing a suitable place that is free from noise or confusion that may affect students' concentration. The principles and rules of communication in teaching and learning process include the following. Learning and knowledge are basically different points of view and opinions that have come together to form our complementary topics. Yeah, teaching the student how to search and obtain information is important because information is constantly evolving. Enabling the students to link various pieces of information from different sources to the same topic is essential. Proficiency in accessing modern information is the goal of communication in teaching and learning process, and accuracy and keeping pace with the continuous update of information is one of the most important communicative learning activities. Courses and the textbooks are not the only source of knowledge. There are many ways, including email, social media, discussions and debates, online research, and browsing trusted blogs. The learner's skills and ability to link different fields and ideas are what develops education and educational communication. If you make a correct educational communication, you will eventually reach the best result with your students and quality them to the labor market effectively, which will benefit the community. The tool or method that you use as a teacher is a form of teaching techniques. And the means is the basis of the success of educational communication, and on which the educational techniques you use to explain your lesson and communicate with your students are built. One of the most prominent features of modern education and communication techniques is helping you to overcome the problem of individual differences among learners and address them with the smartest solution, that is using various tools that may be visible audience or read to suit the different behaviors of your students and their educational levels. Here, the teacher's roles in using modern technologies in education is based on choosing appropriate teaching aids for students, determining the time period in using each tool in proportional to the individual difference among students, and organizing class time between explaining the lesson and using different methods and tools to simplify the delivery of information. Modern teaching methods have proven their efficiently in education, and many advantages have been noted. Such they make the students more creative because it enhances his or her abilities and skills of thinking, observation, and inference. They enable the student to know the problem to find a solution to it. Students' levels and individual difference are taken into account if used in the best way. Using them broadens the students' perceptions and give them a lot of different resources to understand the practical material more and become proficient in it. They develop the students' self-education skills. They make students more aware of technological development and keep them up to date. They help reduce material cost, printing textbook, replacing them with e-books. One of the advantages of modern education methods is that they have been known to make the students love education and prevent the feeling of boredom because of the diversity of activities and educational resources used. The use of modern teaching methods makes the education process more enjoyable and more efficient. Let's know the importance of modern teaching methods and their impact of the educational process. The use of modern teaching methods such as differentiated education makes modern teaching method more efficient because it takes into account the individual difference among students, especially those with special needs. Their use encourages students to be more cooperative and gives them many skills such as problem solving, creative thinking, acting, designing, implementing projects. Their use enhances students' self-learning and develops in them the love of research and discovery of themselves. Modern teaching methods make the student link between scientific and practical life and understand how to apply and use what they have learned in practical life in a more efficient and integrated manner. Modern teaching methods mean you are keeping pace with technological developments and expanding students' awareness of the great future of technology. Modern teaching methods also mean you save time and much needed effort in the educational process. They are methods that address all the senses of the student, which make the scientific material more understandable and thus proves the information for a longer period. They make the teacher more able to coordinate and organize the scientific material and use different teaching aids in their classes. Teaching methods are the link between the students, the curriculum, and the professors. That is why the most appropriate methods must be chosen carefully. Pay attention constantly to all the day-to-day new and modern teaching methods make education more effective and have an effective value of the knowledge and skills of the student. The modern teaching methods now support different types of teaching strategies and provide the student with multiple options to receive information and develop a lot of skills and experiences. Learn model teaching methods examples. Because of the progress that occurs continuously in education and the students' increasing need for the diversity of old and modern teaching methods, it's important for teachers to stay updated with the types of modern teaching methods and modern teaching strategies and to integrate and use them approximately with their educational system in order to develop the skills of their students and provide them with knowledge in a more sophisticated manner that fits the era we're in. Let's get examples of modern teaching methods that teacher can use in a simple way. The method of finding and solving the problem. This method is among the modern teaching strategies that motivate the student to find practical and scientific solutions to their problems he faces, but thinking and cooperating with colleagues. This method is ideal for enhancing the students' confidence and linking what they learn to practical application in their life. E-learning, a method that uses modern technological means and link them to education so that the information reach the student anywhere and anytime with no effort and much less cost. This method was an advantage of giving students more educational opportunities as it doesn't require the student to even attend in a specific place. If the educational institution they belong to and the teacher agree to this. Cooperation among students in education, which is one of the modern teaching strategies that I'm to enhance in the student the love of cooperation, participation, and work in the spirit of one team. Learning by playing with educational materials makes it more exciting and interesting for the learners. It's an entertaining way that makes the student love science and search for it without getting bored, and enhance social participation among students and the positive thinking, full of activity and vitality. Brainstorming method, which is a method based on deep thinking to find new and creative ideas, and it gives the students student the freedom to express his views and ideas, and respect and accept the opinions of others. Acting, which is one of the modern methods of education, where students have an acting dialogue that presents a specific subject in a more luxurious and creative way. Making projects for each unit that is studied, as it enhances the student thinking and transforms the scientific speech they have studied into something practical that can be applied. A differentiated education to take into account the individual difference between students, and to put each student in the appropriate place for this experience, skills, and knowledge. Disadvantages of traditional teaching methods. There are nothing wrong with tradition, but traditional is a whole other thing to consider, especially now. Yeah, there were many possibilities in how we have been learning before, but there is no going forward without looking back at mistakes to overcome in the future. Looking back to the traditional ways of teaching before, the types of traditional teaching strategies were simple and limited, and didn't meet the purpose of education completely, at least now with the current standards. Back then, the goal was the extent to which the student can memorize the information he or she receives, and only just that. And the tests that are held on paper rely only on writing without looking at the student's skills or the exact extent of the knowledge he has acquired. As for school assignments, they are all based on memorization and copying, which makes the student less creative and thinking. Therefore, specialists found their solution by using modern teaching strategies and searching for innovative ways and means that keep pace with the times and make the educational process more beneficial for the student. There is describe some problem communication in teaching and learning process, but I want to finish our lesson. And as conclusion, I can say that one of the most important factors of communication in the relationship you develop with your participants, with your students, with your school boys, school girls. Building these relationships impact the engagement level of a session. Developing a communication strategy that works perfectly for you is a process. It's something you will build upon as you engage with classroom more. Remember, adaptability comes with experience and time. But if you try and make these small changes in your classes, you will be able to cultivate habits that only help you get better. Thank you very much for your attention. See you next time. I just want to close this.